Hello friends, my name is Panasyuk, and I'm still on a deserted island, testing myself in survival conditions. Look at this catch, it's a whole different story. I've also set myself an additional challenge, to stay here until my channel reaches 1 million subscribers. And today marks the 7th day on this deserted island. Thanks to your likes on the videos, every day I receive an additional mission. For example, for 18,000 likes, I was supposed to catch a barracuda, and I've already completed that mission. Under the next video, you reach 21,000 likes, for which I was supposed to catch a stingray, and I've also completed that mission. Then, under the 5th episode, you reach 22,000 likes, which means I now have another additional mission, namely, catching fish using primitive fishing. In general, I already have a good list of missions left undone. I tried to complete the mission of catching prey using a trap from AliExpress. So, today, from early morning, I found a suitable place to set up the trap. And all day long, I'll hope that some prey will swim into it. It's still low tide right now, so the depth here is very shallow. But it'll be easier for me to set up the trap. I laid it out and weighted it with stones. As bait, I threw in some leftover stingray. And by the way, I still have the second half of the stingray for today. But I really hope that with the trap, I'll manage to catch something. And I'll be able to complete this additional mission. The trap is set. I decided not to waste any time. I took the crossbow and swam along the coral reef in search of prey. But I had no idea that there was already activity near my trap. Look at this striped fish. I'm sure it noticed my camera. It seemed like it deliberately kept coming back and posing in front of the lens, swimming from one angle, then from another, and after a while, it called its friends too, and then they all posed together in front of the camera. And I'm sure you didn't even notice that in the middle of the frame, above the big black rock, a whole school of sargassos was floating near the surface. If I had a casting net, I could try to catch this school. While on the shore, I attended to my own affairs. I was very curious about what was happening underwater at that moment. Perhaps something had already swum into my trap, but I had no idea that at that moment, there was a fairly large shark circling near my trap. Most likely it caught the scent of a stingray. Who watched Survival on a Desert Island with Sharks? The second part. He knows that I had 2 such traps, and one of them, last season, was torn apart by a shark. I hope this trap stays intact. This time, I've set myself a challenge, to try to survive on the island until my channel reaches 1 million subscribers. Whether I'll succeed or not, we'll find out soon. And after lunch, the sky clouded over again, and it started raining. Honestly, during the rain it's a bit of a break for me, to take a little rest. At the same time, I can replenish my fresh water supply. 15 minutes was enough to fill a whole bottle of water, though I did miss a moment. Some bark got in there and the water turned yellow. I'll use it for something sanitary or to boil something. Anyway, it'll come in handy. And now I'll collect it. This bottle and another one without bark, without leaves. I'll gather clean water so that it can be filtered and drunk. Oops, let's remove it. And now it needs to be poured into a bottle with a lid. Friends, will there be a rainbow or not? Very beautiful. The sun is already coming out, but it's still raining. The water didn't turn out super clean, but still, this fresh water will be useful to me. Plus, I'll take the one I found in the bottle. And now I'll gather some rainwater again. If it rains again, the bottle will fill up, but this time with clean water. Several more hours passed, and I decided to put on a mask and snorkel and dive underwater to check my trap. But this time there was nothing in the trap. I was a little disappointed and returned to the shore. Maybe I'll set the trap again for the night. After all, at night there's a slight chance of catching a lobster or crab. I pulled the trap onto the shore and took a spear gun in my hands. I returned underwater and swam along my bay. But encountered nothing interesting on my way. When I climbed onto the shore, I decided to make a fire and warm up a bit. For this, I'll need my catch bag where I kept the crabs. Or more precisely, the rope at the base of this bag. I'll also need a small branch. This will be the handle. And of course, I'll need dry grass. So, to make fire, I'll need a curved stick, which I'll make into a bow. I'll tie this rope around it, and it'll be the bow. But the bowstring shouldn't be tightly stretched here. It should be loose. To wrap it, make a few turns around this rod. This is the main drill that will make fire. This is the wooden handle that will fit into my hand. Fits like this. And this part of the drill will rest against my palm, so it doesn't press into my hand. And the wooden plate in which I'll be drilling the hole, where it should be, where the spark should form. I transfer the spark to a dry coconut husk. I blow on the ember. Then transfer this ember to dry grass and make fire. Let's try if it works or not. After underwater hunting, I decided to make a fire and warm up a bit, and also to keep the fire going throughout the evening, because it will darken very soon, and making fire won't be so comfortable. At the same time, I'll show you another fire-making technique without matches, lighters, or even a flint. Friends, I remind you that the more likes this video gets, the more difficult and interesting additional mission I receive. And at this moment, I thought it was cool to show all the stages in detail on camera. But I missed the point that my Panama hat has a visor, which I've now successfully used to cover the camera lens. But I think the viewers who watch my channel already know and don't doubt that this technique works, and I know how to use it. In general, with the help of this primitive bow, a small stick and dry grass, I managed to make fire, without using matches, lighters, or even a flint. That's how, friends, with the imitation of a bow, a drill, and a base, I managed to get fire. And I still have barracuda left. 3 more pieces. Oh, so juicy. I'll sit down and eat. Honestly, it's not as juicy as it used to be, because the fish has gone bad a bit, despite being smoked on the fire for a long time. Nevertheless, barracuda mixed with skate meat satisfied my appetite, and also restored my strength a bit. On the ocean shore, I saw a large sea snake washed up. As far as I know, it's a sea crate, one of the most venomous and dangerous snakes in the world. But it's not aggressive towards humans at all. It only poses a danger if stepped on. And since this snake hunts fish and is very afraid of humans, and not without reason, because I've long wanted to catch a crate and cook it. And if you support this idea, give a thumbs up under this video. Or I can add this point to the list of additional missions. By the way, check out my new headlamp. How brightly it shines. First mode, second mode, third mode, and turbo mode. I think it's awesome. The sun has set below the horizon, and night has fallen. I took the spear and walked along the shore to look for an additional source of food. So far, I haven't found anything interesting. But friends, I'm not losing hope. In any case, I'll take my mask and snorkel and dive underwater. Took the spear, everything as usual. The catch bag, and I'll walk along the shore. I'll take a look. Sometimes big crabs come out before bedtime. Snakes come out. And at the moment, the #1 goal is to find a sea snake. Very often, they come out onto the sand like this. especially near the mangrove bushes or rocks. I want to catch the snake and cook it. If you support this idea, give a thumbs up and wish me luck. Such night hunting can be called almost a passive source of food. Well, completely passive hunting is traps, when they catch food themselves while I'm doing something else. But night hunting is a bit easier, because with a flashlight, the light from the lantern, I can blind the fish, or catch a sleeping fish, or do something like that. Find crawling crabs. And try to catch them. This little guy is completely... After that, I returned to the camp, took the equipment for underwater hunting and dived underwater. Because at night you can either catch something very interesting, or at least see. The underwater world at night is very different from what we are used to seeing during the day. So, I don't miss such an opportunity, and every night before bed, I always engage in night underwater hunting. But friends, I repeat once again, engaging in underwater hunting alone is strictly prohibited. Don't repeat what I do, especially at night, especially in places where there is no chance to call for help. It's very dangerous for life. In general, I wanted to share my emotions with you before I forgot. Night underwater hunting. It's always something very unexpected and very interesting. What we cannot see in 90% of our lives. What happens in the ocean, underwater at night. Namely, peaceful fish fall asleep and predators go hunting. It was very interesting. At first I swam with a spear. Actually, before I went into the water, I couldn't decide for a long time. Take a spear or a crossbow. I thought the fish would be asleep. So, I would need to shoot at the coral reef. And of course, a spear is more convenient in these conditions. Than shooting with a crossbow and damaging my harpoon. In general, I still decided on the spear. I swim, I see small fish. And suddenly under a rock, I see a huge grouper. Or it was a red bass, or it was a coral grouper. Of large size. The fish is very large. I immediately understand that with a spear I won't be able to take it. I mean, even if I injure the fish, it will just swim away. I swim back. The grouper sits in a hole under a rock. I fix my spear so that it sticks out of the rock. Friends, a big fish underwater. Found a cave. In that cave sits a big one. Either a red bass or a grouper. A big black fish. I definitely can't handle this fish with a spear. I run for the crossbow. A crossbow is urgently needed. The fish is big. Quickly, quickly, quickly. I stick the spear in a rock to mark the place where this fish is. Quickly return to the shore. Take the crossbow and swim to that buoy where my spear is sticking out. I swim there, turn on the camera, dive with the crossbow. And what do you think? Of course, there was no one under the rock anymore. I was very disappointed. The fish was really about 4-5 kilograms, so it would have been a big trophy. I was very disappointed. But after a minute, those emotions faded into the background. Because underwater, I meet While I was dealing with this grouper, in the distance I saw glowing eyes. And I know that such eyes usually belong to sharks. That is, to nocturnal hunters. The flashlight reflects in their eyes. That is, peaceful fish don't have glowing eyes. But in the distance, such a beacon lit up. This means that most likely a shark is swimming, or some predator. In general, I look, and in the distance I notice something glowing. I think probably a shark or a fish tank. At that moment, I got caught on a buoy. I unhooked the buoy. Still, I think I'll swim and see what this glowing spot is. And when I approached, I saw some fish sitting in a large coral reef. But when I approached closer, I understand, friends, that it's not a coral reef. It's a giant stingray. The stingray's tail was more than 1.5 meters long, that's for sure. Incredibly large, spotted, all in such dots. A very big stingray. And I froze. I didn't know what to do. I just understand, you see, that it's very big. I know there are cases when these rays defend themselves and hit with their tails, and sometimes it ends in a lethal outcome. It's a very dangerous creature, and it's better not to disturb it, and I didn't know at what safe distance I could approach it, so that I could examine it, to show you, but at the same time so that it wouldn't sting me with its tail and harm me. I really was afraid to approach it closely, provoked its reaction, approached from one side, looked from the other side, and in the end, it flapped its wings and swam into the depths. A very big stingray. I've never encountered such a big stingray underwater in real life. I was just shocked. Friends, only if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new episodes. Share this video with your friends. Maybe they'll like my channel too. Thank you all very much. Goodbye.